Welcome to Kick It Up a Notch, hosted by Megan and Jenny. We're here to bring you lively conversations, inspiring stories, and a little bit of everything in between. Whether it's life, business, or just a good laugh, we're turning up the energy and diving into what makes life extraordinary. Let's kick it up a notch. Welcome to another episode of Kick It Up a Notch. I'm Megan Thomas, here with my amazing co-host, Jenny McBride. We're the best realtors here in Evansville, Indiana, also entrepreneurs and all-around pretty fun gals. We're so glad to have you back for another episode. Make sure to check out our past episodes, and please listen, follow, and subscribe.
Today, we're kicking it up a notch with Chelsie Garrett. Chelsie is a wife, mom, entrepreneur, and a coffee enthusiast. Passionate about living with purpose. She and her husband own CG's Detailing and Rival Coffee Company, balancing business life with raising their son and serving in their church.
Outside of business, Chelsie is deeply involved in her church, where she leads small groups and serves on the missions leadership team. Faith plays a huge role in her everyday life, guiding both her personal and professional journey. Chelsie is passionate about living intentionally, working hard, and finding joy in every season. So it makes total sense for us to have her on today to share her story. So thank you so much for being with us today, Chelsie. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Absolutely. We're ready to share your story. So have you always lived in Evansville?
I haven't. I'm from Vincennes, which is just a short jog up the road from here. I moved down here in 2008 to go to school at USI. And then I just never left.
Okay. What'd you go to school for?
I actually went to school for computer information systems. So 0% of what I'm doing now. But
welcome to the club.
Yeah.
Welcome to the club for all of us. Jenny, hairdresser, me, social worker.
Yes. Okay. Well, I'm not alone then.
I think we've all found our journey. At least you did it for something that we're still computers maybe come up
right
sometime in your day today.
Yes.
So how did you meet your husband?
So we actually worked together. We worked at the casino. He was a bartender and I worked at the front desk at the hotel that he bartended at. So we worked together for a while, and just, developed a really good friendship. And then it just, one thing led to another and here we are.
Oh,
Yeah. So you mentioned working with your husband, which is something that I can totally relate to because my husband and I mean, we literally almost spend 24 hours
Yes.
together every day. So tell me a little bit about it. Like, how do you manage working together, being together all of the time and still being able to have a strong relationship?
So first of all, that's definitely not for everybody, right? Like not every relationship can handle that. It takes a very, a very, special relationship and two people that are very different to be able to do that. So it was always a dream for us to run a business together, to own a business together. We haven't always been entrepreneurs. My husband worked in the entertainment industry. He was the general manager at a bowling center. He worked at a movie theater. He's done all kinds of things. And then I did work in IT for a hot minute after high school. So I worked from home. But it was always a dream for us to own something together. We brainstormed for years, what that looked like. And then God just kind of opened some doors for us. So it's been really cool to watch everything kind of pan out the way it has. But he actually started detailing by himself during COVID. He got laid off from his job because his business, he was working at a movie theater at the time and they were closed. So he was cleaning cars to pay the bills, basically. And then after COVID, he had a small staff of younger, like high school age kids during the summer, and really built the business up where we were cranking out cars pretty quickly. And we quickly realized that like this wasn't just a hobby anymore. This was actually like a business. And so he did the LLC and really dove in 100%. He went back and trained a new GM when the movie theater opened back up. And then he quit that so that he could do detailing full time. And then, we quickly realized that we could make more money if I would just step into that business instead of paying more staff. So I left my corporate job as well to do that full time. So that was kind of the blossoming of our entrepreneurial life, like diving all in together. But yeah, it's very challenging to work together all the time because before we were working separate schedules. He worked in the evenings and I worked during the day. So like we went from seeing each other like, at bedtime and then on the weekends sometimes. And then now we're
Mm-hmm.
like you said, we're together all the time.
Right.
So it is challenging. But it also makes us more aware of each other, right? You get to know each other's quirks, and I would venture to say that our relationship is healthier now than it's ever been. We are more open with each other. I mean, we literally are together all the time, so like there's always something to talk about, or something going on, or talking about things that we saw online or things in the news or whatever that might look like. So you really, I mean, he's my best friend. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cool. And like I said, it's definitely not for everybody. I know that a lot of people are like, wow, it's crazy. I don't know how you spend all day with your spouse. I'm like, I don't know. Like, he's my best friend. I don't know what to do without him.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's interesting that you say that because, well, you said that you and him are different. And my husband and I are very similar in a
Okay.
lot of ways. And so I think that because we are similar, that works for us.
Yeah.
And but similar to you, you go from not hardly ever seeing them to now you're together 24 hours a day. And I can remember telling, like, when Chris started working with me and not selling cars, it was like, okay, I want to go do something, but now I got to like tell him where I'm going,
Right.
or I have to say, do you want to go with us?
Yes.
So that was an adjustment, not just being able to go off and do whatever it is I wanted to do anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm
And you guys were doing, go
good.
on. Well, you guys are doing two kind of scary things at once, starting working together, which is big, and then working together at a new business that you guys have started. So going from that leap from you guys having your two separate jobs and two separate incomes at
Yeah.
different jobs to one, what was that like? Was it scary? Did it just feel right? How hard was it? What was that jump from we want to do this to fully being entrepreneurs?
It's terrifying. It's still
Yeah.
terrifying. It definitely hasn't gotten any better over the last 5 years. It's a daily challenge, right? You go from that corporate salary where, no matter how many hours you put in the week, you get your direct deposit every week or every 2 weeks, and what's coming, and then all the perks that come with that. You have your 401k, you have your PTO, you have health
Health
insurance
insurance.
that's yeah,
Hmm.
that's either paid for or partially paid for. Those are those are all nice things, but not having those is scary, and that's what society has told us is necessary, right? My husband and I were just talking the other day about health insurance. We have a fantastic person that helps us with our health insurance here locally, and it's not been as big of a burden as what we expected. And we talked about, there's always people, especially right now, there's always people looking for health insurance, and about how they're so scared to do X, Y, and Z because their company provides health insurance. And I'm like, really, like, I feel like we've kind of been lied to about health insurance. Like, it's really not as scary as what everybody makes it seem to be. And a lot of, employers hold that over your head. Like, well, we pay for your health insurance. I'm like, okay, but like, what about all the other things I give up? So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely scary. Going from that very structured to like, you literally have no idea what's going to happen. Um, which I know obviously you guys are in the same boat with real estate.
Hmm.
It's a roller coaster always. We have an amazing friend that's an entrepreneur, owns a business. He's older than us and well seasoned in his business. And he told us when we first started something that has stuck with me, and it's something that we tell each other all the time when we're in a rough spot. is as a business owner, you have steak seasons and you have ramen seasons. And when you're in a steak season, you have to prepare because you know that a ramen season is probably around the corner. And, when you're in a ramen season, you just have to tough it out because a steak season will follow. And,
Mm-hmm.
that was the best advice as a young entrepreneur to like, as a kid, I always viewed like business owners as like these special people that like had all this money and like, oh, you own a business, you must be so rich. And now we
Yeah.
can all just,
Amen,
laugh
sister.
at that. But
Amen, sister.
you like have these big visions of grandeur about what it means to own a business, and then like you own a business and you're like, hold on, I feel like I was lied to a little bit here. Like there's a lot that you don't know about owning a business.
Yeah.
So it is a huge blessing, but it definitely is not for the faint of heart. There are definitely days that are very difficult. But it's a huge blessing, even just being able to pick my son from school every day, and like we take him we have a son, he's 8. So we drop him off together, we pick him up together, and like we get to be present for pretty much everything. And he's getting to the age now where he realizes that his parents have a little bit of a different situation than a lot of the other parents, like kids' parents aren't at all the practices or at all the games, or they can't be there to pick him up from school. And he's seeing that change, and like that's to us what it's all about, especially at this stage in life. Like being able to be there and be present for him. And he's an only child, we were both only child's children. So just cultivating that super close-knit family has been huge for us. And that's the season that we're in right now. Obviously we're building our businesses still. But family is definitely number one in our book.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a rarity nowadays
Yeah.
because, both everybody's working, and working, I mean, is a huge part of a lot of people's lives. So to have two parents that can be there,
Yeah.
is a rarity nowadays.
Yeah.
And the hard work and role modeling you're showing
Mm-hmm.
for him is really cool. That you get to kind of start that generational change. If he wants to pursue that, he gets to see,
Yeah.
like you had just mentioned, I was in the same boat. You hear you're a business owner, and your mind goes somewhere else, and then
Yeah.
you get in that role, and you're like, what train did I miss? Because this is not what I thought it would be. So it's nice that he gets to see his parents be a business owner, hear they're a business owner, but then see what it really takes: the grinding hard work, the nerves, the steak seasons, the ramen seasons, how you prepare for both of those things, and how you work really hard for those. You work really hard to have those moments of picking him up and being at practices.
Yes.
So that is amazing. So you guys have CG detailing.
Yes.
But then you guys thought, hey, let's also do something else. So how in the world did Revival Coffee Company come about?
So this is one of my favorite stories to tell, and I'm really glad that my husband's not here because I get to tell it my way without him coming in, because he always tries to make it sound better than it actually is. So my husband took a hiatus from detailing for about 18 months. He went to work for our church. So our church is still relatively new, but growing exponentially quickly. And they are just very short.
And what church is that? If I
We're
could
with
just
the
ask.
Hills Church.
Okay.
So it's just growing way faster than anyone could have ever expected. And they just don't have enough people on staff, or they're just not in a place to add as much staff as what they need to. So my husband went to work for them to just kind of help with some of the day-to-day stuff. He helped with operations. He helped with small groups. That's how we got involved in the missions side of things. So he was just kind of an extra person there to help with all the things. And coming from the secular world, he has a totally different worldview than all the rest of the staff that's worked in ministry their whole life. So it provides a really cool point of view for them in everything, because things get really cloudy whenever you're just looking at things from the ministry side, when you don't look from the outside looking in. So he provided a really cool point of view for them on staff. But anyway, he was working for them. And we opened this new beautiful building on North Green River Road it'll be 2 years ago in next month, actually.
It is. It's a beautiful building.
And there's a coffee shop inside, and there was a company based out of Mount Carmel that was managing that. They had some connections with some of the people in the church. They set up this beautiful coffee shop. They opened the doors. This was their third location. They have other locations in Mount Carmel. And it was a new building. It was a new place. It was a new coffee shop. And they were trying to manage it from Mount Carmel. And it was just a lot to take on for a young family. They had a small child at home. They were working on growing their family. So it was a lot for them to try to manage from that far away. And after about 2 months, they went to my husband. He was their point of contact with the church at that time. He went to my husband and said, "Hey, we can't do this. Like it's too much. We can't do it from where we are located, and we're not willing to relocate to Evansville. We're going to close up shop." And my husband was like, "Okay, well, like, what does that look like? What kind of time frame do we have? Like, what can I do to help you? Like, we want to obviously see you guys succeed." And he was like, "Yeah, like we can't do it. But we're going to close. We're leaving in 10 days. And my husband was like, "Okay." So he obviously took that information to the rest of the church staff. They talked to the elders. I got a phone call in the middle of the day. Again, the detail business is still running full force, and I'm now doing it by myself, the IT person. Okay. No idea what I'm doing, just trying my best out here. And he calls and says, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm running our other business. Like, what do you mean? Like, what's wrong?" And he was like, "Well, I bought you a coffee shop today." And I said, "What do you mean you bought me a coffee shop today?" And he was like, "Well, the cafe called and they're out. They can't do it anymore. So I bought it for you." And I was like, "You keep saying for me, like, what does that mean?" And he was like, "Well, I talked with the elders, and since I'm on staff, it would be a conflict of interest if I owned it. So you own it now, and I can help out in some of the day-to-day stuff, but mostly it's just you." And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I drink Starbucks and like I enjoy coffee, but I don't know how to make coffee. Like, I have a Keurig at home.
Like, wow, bud, a nice bracelet would have been nice too, but whatever.
So yeah, it was baptism by fire at that point. Like I said, we had 10 days from that point until we took ownership. That was Labor Day weekend. So 2 years ago, 2023. And it was absolutely insane. I think I cried every single day for 10 days.
Understandably, as you should have. That's a normal response to what you just got handed.
We learned everything we needed to know about I didn't know anything about an espresso machine at the time. I'd never even seen one other than the backside of the one at Starbucks. So I had to learn how to pull a shot of espresso. I had to learn about, what it meant there were little clocks on there that told me a time. And I was like, "What is that? I don't know what that's for." So literally I had no idea what I was doing. So I started from ground zero to full-fledged opening a coffee shop in 10 days. And we pulled it off somehow, only by the grace of God, I'm pretty sure at this point. And yeah, it was crazy, but it has been a huge
We lost
blessing.
you.
Not going to like that freeze frame. Are you back? We lost you by the grace of God. You guys made it. Oh no, we're probably frozen on her screen.
Oh no, can you see me?
Yeah, we can see you now. Yeah, you're back.
Sorry, I think I froze.
We lost you by the grace of God.
Oh, well, that's kind of about where I stopped. Though I think that's the only way we made it through those 10 days was just by the grace of God and like some amazing people in the community. The coffee community here in Evansville is amazing. There are some fantastic people that just came alongside us and was willing to, give us all the tips and tricks. We partnered with Joe Brewski whenever we opened. They literally came in on Labor Day and spent the whole day with us that day, teaching us everything about our machine, how to pull a shot of espresso, like what you were looking for, what you wanted to do, what you didn't want to do, like just a total crash course on all things coffee. There's no way we could have ever survived without those guys. They were amazing.
That's awesome. Shout out to Joe Brewski and their
Yes.
crew. That's very cool. That is very cool. So, holy cow. So, if you are now at Revival Coffee Company, again, the coffee company your husband bought for you,
Yes.
what is going on with CG Detailing? Is that able to still keep going?
It does, yes. So we have an amazing staff at Revival now. We are, again, we're almost 2 years in, or about a year and a half in now. We have a fantastic staff that runs our day to day there. We are pretty hands off there. We do all the purchasing, the behind the scenes stuff. We work usually a shift or two a week. We like to work on Sundays. We have like a rotation so that our staff, nobody has to work every Sunday. That way everybody can go to church. That's our busiest day. Excuse me. It's our busiest day of the week. Sorry.
No, get you a drink.
That's our busiest day of the week. So we have to be there. But yeah, we like to do a rotation.
That's nice. That's amazing that within like a year and a half of learning all of this and kind of like you said, trial by fire,
Yeah.
that you guys are able to be so hands off there already. That's pretty impressive.
So detailing is still that's our main thing.
Okay.
We are in the process, and we just kind of did a sneak peek yesterday, so nobody really knows yet. But we are launching a food truck for the coffee shop. That is going to be hitting the road next week. So it'll be a Revival Coffee Company, but it's a trailer. So we'll be doing mobile events, food truck events, scheduling for parties and catering and that kind of stuff too.
That is
Okay,
so
that's neat.
smart and exciting, especially with this time of year. As you know, I assume it was on purpose with
Yeah.
all of the bazaars, and food trucks have become a huge community in Evansville over the last several years. I think really since COVID, people really took well to it. So I think that is an awesome new adventure.
Yes.
I am so excited to hear that.
Yeah, we're really excited. We love our spot in the hills, but we definitely don't want to stop there. We want to have more locations for Revival. So this is our next step, and then hopefully we'll have more revivals down the road somewhere.
Was it called that originally, or did you guys get to rename it and make that name?
That was we made that. It was called Cafe 82-3 is what the original cafe was called, and they are still located in Mount Carmel.
Okay. Okay.
So let's talk about I have questions about the businesses. So Revival Coffee Companies in the Hills Church.
Mm-hmm.
Can anybody come in there? What are the hours? Can anybody come in there and get coffee?
Yeah. So we are open 7 days a week. So the Hills is a community center. It happens to have church knit on Thursday evenings and Sundays. But the rest of the week, it is open to the public as a community center. There is a 4-story playscape in there inside for kids. There's a small basketball goal. They have some game tables, ping pong table and stuff in there. So it is a community center that's open to the public 7 days a week. We open at 8 in the mornings and then our normal closing time is 7. There are a couple of things during the week, like Wednesdays, they have youth night, so they close down at 5. But yeah, the building is open all the time.
Wow.
That's something interesting that I think a lot of people probably don't know.
Yeah.
So you don't necessarily have to go to church there
to
use the facility.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
It is open to the public, and they actually host birthday parties there, and they're free. All you have to do is register ahead of time. They only take so many per day, but they'll set up like tables for you. There's no private rooms, but they'll set up like an area for you. And then there's plenty of room in there for kids to run around and play and burn off some energy. So it's been a really cool journey to watch this place come to fruition. Something we dreamed about when we were still meeting in Old National Events Plaza, of what we wanted to bring to the community, right? We wanted it to be an area for the community that we just happen to have church in. And I feel like our leadership team has done a really good job of making that happen. Our elders are fantastic, and they've really done a great job of keeping the vision of The Hills is a church, but it's also a tool for the community. They have a lot of really great events that they do, community centered events throughout the year, that, don't provide any value to the church itself, but are really great for the community. We have a huge egg hunt every year, that we just wrapped up a couple weeks ago. They do 35,000 eggs for Easter. And then during Christmas, they do Whoville. We have an amazing Grinch. He is absolutely hilarious. I would argue that he could definitely go toe to toe with Jim Carrey. He's hilarious. And
Ooh, that's impressive.
it's really good. He They do, like, they turn the hills into Whoville. Like, they spend weeks on construction in there and just totally transform it. So, and again, like, all that's free to the public. Just giving back to the community. So it's been so cool to be a part of that. And like I said, see it from nothing, like I have pictures of our family standing out in the field before they broke ground. And I have pictures of us standing in there before they put the walls up. Like, all you have is the steel frame. And like, it's just been really cool to see every single part of the journey.
Yeah. One thing that and this is kind of going a little off of what we were talking about, is I remember being like your age and having my kids growing up and wanting them to get into church, taking them to church and things like that. And I grew up in a Southern Baptist family, so I had my faith, whenever I was young, carrying that forward. But I can remember thinking how a lot of people in the church were older than me. And now I don't know if it's over the past several years and maybe the success of the Hills churches, I think we're seeing a lot of younger people with curiosity and also maybe coming back into church where maybe they started young and everything. So, you being young and having a young family, like, did you grow up going to church, or is this something like new that just decided that you had curiosity, or what was it for you?
So I did grow up in church. I was probably about my son's age when my parents really started diving into church. But from my point of view, and obviously I don't know, I was a kid, but from what I remember as a kid, it seemed more of what I call Sunday Christians. We went to church, we spent all day at church on Sunday. But that was kind of where the buck stopped. My parents we didn't do like small groups. We didn't have, um, like a lot of stuff outside of those four walls on Sunday morning. Like, we had church on Sunday, and then we had Sunday school, and then that was it. Like, church was just a
Hmm.
thing you did Sunday. It wasn't part of our whole life, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So it wasn't until my husband and I got involved at the Hills, that really shifted for me. I've always had a strong faith, and that was one of the things that really brought my husband and I together as we started attending church together. And so it's always been something very important to both of us. But we were really looking to get connected before we started a family. We were looking to get connected in a church, and like, we're just craving something deeper than just attending on Sundays.
Hmm.
And it was about the time when the Hills was founded that we really, really felt pulled to we had to do something at this point. Like, we were really trying to start a small group or get involved in a small group or something. Um, and the Hills launched a class called Rooted, and that changed everything for us. It's a 10-week course that they do. It's like a discipleship course, sort of, and it just um, has you dive in deeper to your faith personally. You do it with a table of 10 people or so. And that ended up becoming our first small group after we graduated that class. Those people went on to become our first small group. And that was in 2019, I think we calculated the other day. And we literally never looked back. That class was the shift for us, where we realized that church wasn't just something you do on Sundays. Like church is something that is part of your life, in the day in and day out. So, especially now having a business inside of the church, we are extremely involved in everything church.
Yeah.
And our son goes to Evansville Christian School, so he's pretty involved as well. And he has he has a very strong faith for an 8-year-old. It's really cool to see.
Yeah. Yeah. Great.
How much do you feel, do you think you'd have the businesses without your faith? Do you think that involvement influenced your entrepreneurship? Do you think those things work together with each other or
Oh,
how they influenced one
100%.
another?
100%. Yeah. There is no possible way. Well, first of all, there's no way that I would be here without the grace of God. But there's no way that our businesses would be what they are if God's guidance wasn't behind that. And I strongly believe that he has guided our steps every step of the way. I would say probably more so with the coffee shop and detailing. Um, that's not to say that God didn't put that in our path for a reason, because I know that he did. But the coffee shop has come in a time in our lives when there was a lot of turmoil anyway. So we're both very rooted in our faith just because there's a lot of other noise going on at the same time. So just being constantly in prayer, specifically about our businesses, I think it makes a huge difference for us. We're constantly praying for God to put people in our path that need us, like whatever that means. Stewardship is a huge part of our life, our day to day, and shepherding people. And, we obviously were business owners, so we have to make money to pay our bills. But at the same time, the relationships that we make throughout our day to day businesses, business handlings, whatever that looks like, whether it's making someone a coffee or meeting a new vendor or someone that brings their car to get detailed and we just happen to have a 5-minute conversation when, they come pick it up. Those are the people that, we have prayed for God to put in our path for whatever reason. Maybe it's someone just having a horrible day and they just need someone to pray over them at the end of the day, or they just need someone to, realize that they exist. They just need someone to talk to for 5 minutes, or whatever that looks like. But yeah, that's a prayer that we both pray daily, is, just put people in our path that you want us to interact with and just constantly guide our steps. It's
Yeah. I
changed a lot
love
over the
that you
last few
said that.
years. A lot of our prayers have changed, but that has been one that has been a constant for us.
Hmm. Yeah, I love that you said that. Put people in our path that need us,
Yeah.
because that's so contrary to what most people think. Even if you're looking for maybe to hire somebody, you're thinking, okay, I need
Right.
someone, but I tell people all the time that maybe don't want to hire somebody because they think they can do it all themselves. I say, yeah, but there's somebody out there that is waiting on you to give them the opportunity.
Yeah.
And so I love that you said that. That's
Yeah.
great.
With you wearing all these hats as a wife, as a mom, as a business owner, as a leader in your church, what does balance look like for you? Is your faith your self-care? Do you still like a really hot bubble bath? Like what? Some people it's, on a
Yeah.
quiet front porch with a hot cup of coffee, but you might be done with coffee by the end of the day. So how do
Uh,
you balance all this? How do you stay sane?
that's a great question. And I would argue that changes daily, because every day, as you guys know, as entrepreneurs, every day brings new challenges. So depending on that day, my self-care may look a little different. Um, so yeah, I do struggle with that, actually. The balance is very challenging, especially right now. Like I said, we're just launching this coffee truck. We have our health department inspection scheduled, so we have like a hard deadline. And so self-care is kind of out the window right now while we just have, nose to the grindstone, getting everything done. But, just trying to unplug. Sometimes I just have to turn my phone off and just be mom and sit on the couch and play Fortnite with my 8-year-old, or, go out back and, just watch my dogs roam around the yard, or, whatever that looks like. Just totally disconnecting from, I mean, my phone is the worst, there's constant phone calls and text messages and emails and, Facebook inquiries about, scheduling appointments and, it never ends. And then you compound it times 3 businesses and, gets tiring.
Uh-huh.
And I love that because I think what sounds like little things of sitting down and playing Fortnite with your son or sitting in the back and watching your dogs, those are huge
Yeah.
things. And it could be for 2 minutes, it could be for 10 minutes. And I think it's nice giving people the grace to know that it will be something different
Yeah.
every day. It will be something different in every season,
Sure.
but that you still try to find the time and remembering, like you said, not always being the business owner.
Yeah.
Your 8-year-old son doesn't need the manager of a business
Yeah.
working through a problem. They need mom working through that problem. So I think you guys said your values of family coming first
Yeah.
and remembering that in your mom hat is huge, and giving yourself grace and realizing it will be different every day.
Yeah.
It will seem like something small, but those small things are what could be, life changing. So I love that you recognize that and
Yeah.
are aware of that. And very, very
What
cool.
do you like? What do you do for you, and how do you prioritize that?
I don't a lot. Really, and it's so silly, but I do my own nails, and I'm not going to show you because I haven't done them. But I bought stuff to do like the hot gel that you get done at the salon, like
Yeah.
acrylic, but not. I bought like a kit of stuff to do that, and like once every 2.5 weeks or so, I'll take like 2 hours and just like do my nails. And
Nice.
like it's not anything major, but it at least gives me like I know a couple of hours to be like, okay, leave me alone. Like I'm just gonna do this. Like nobody needs me right now.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. I love that. So wrapping up, what would you say are some wins and challenges of choosing to have the business and role that you do?
Oh no, you're frozen. Hang on a second.
She's thinking intently, or we're
Oh wait.
frozen again. Oh
Okay,
no,
I
there
can
she is.
hear
No,
you
we're back.
again.
So we'll just start over.
But
So
yeah.
what were some biggest challenges and wins of like running businesses and choosing this? It's an abnormal life. It's not the 9 to 5. It's not the settling. So what are
Sure.
some wins and challenges you would share with others who want to try to make that leap?
So wins definitely family time, right? Like being able to set your own schedule, being able to be there for, our son, um, being able to make our own schedule, to go on trips whenever we can and like mission trips, we go to Cuba twice a year. And that's something that not everybody would be able to do. We can go at a drop of a hat if we need to. Just being able to be present and being available for um, just life. So we've had friends that have had absolute horrendous tragedies happen, and we're the first phone call, and we can literally drop everything and be there. No questions asked. We don't have to ask a boss. We don't have to, close up whatever. Like it's just, okay, I'm on my way, like just having that freedom of, being able to be there for people. And then challenges is also the same thing, right? Making your own
Mm-hmm.
schedule. You have to put yourself first sometimes. You can't. It's easy to fill up your schedule and then like, yeah, great, we have 100% bookings, and then I'm like, shoot, like when am I gonna go get groceries? When am I gonna get my hair cut? Like when am I gonna
It's easy to
sleep?
forget about yourself.
Like
Yeah.
so I think it's kind of a double-edged sword. And then obviously financially is a struggle sometimes, when, the economy is questionable and people are hanging on to their money. Detailing is a luxury. So, that's one of the things that not everybody wants when there's not a lot of money. So, the ramen and steak seasons.
Yeah. What is the best way for people to find both of your businesses?
So for detailing, we have a website. It's cgsdetailing.com. We also have a Facebook, same name. And same with our coffee. It's Revival Coffee Company. And we are on Facebook, Revival Coffee Company. You might see us rolling around town in our new food truck soon. And then again, we are located at 5025 Constellation Avenue inside the hills. It's right across from Menards on North Green River Road.
Do
Okay.
you do you do the social media marketing? Because I do want to say whoever does it does a fantastic job. I follow both of those, and it's very cool to see everything you guys do and post.
It's me. Yep.
I know that's hard to do too. Like, people don't think posting
Yes.
sounds hard, but to have a social media presence is a job in itself.
Yeah.
So I did want to give you kudos
Thank
to
you.
seeing your hard work,
Yes.
because I love a good cleaning before and after
Yes.
picture of your details. And sometimes it's hard to make coffee look delicious in a picture, but you do a very, very good job with it. So I see your hard work. You do really good on Facebook.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So everyone, make sure to get out and about and get some coffee. And then if you spill that coffee in your car, or you've got Cheetos or Fruit Loops or fries under those seats somewhere, go to CG Detailing and get that clean. Thank you so much for your time today.
Yes,
I love your story. And when you guys get back from another mission trip, I'd love to have you back on to discuss that, because I could not imagine. That is just something would be an amazing story to share that you get to do. So I would love to hear your journey on that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I'd love to talk about it.
Awesome. Well, Jenny, do you have anything to wrap up with today?
It was so great to meet you. You do have a great story, and that's why we have this podcast, is to interview people like you that not everybody may know about, and to get your message out. And I do thank you for being on today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for listening today. Be sure to follow us and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Stay connected with us on social media. We want to hear from you. Let us know what you learned from today's episode. Use hashtag #KickItUpANotchPodcast. And until next time, let's keep working together to kick it up a notch in everything that we do.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Kick It Up a Notch is all about real talk and real stories, but we're not doctors, lawyers, financial advisors, or therapists. We're just two business owners having fun, sharing experiences, and hopefully sparking some inspiration. So don't take anything we say as professional advice. Always do your research and consult the experts when needed. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time. Kick It Up a Notch is all about real talk and real stories, but we're not doctors, lawyers, financial advisors, or therapists. We're just two business owners having fun, sharing experiences, and hopefully sparking some inspiration. So don't take anything we say as professional advice. Always do your research and consult the experts when needed. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.